There you go.
Bruce is here. Nancy, are you ready? Okay. Good evening, everyone. At this time, it is 7 p.m. on Tuesday, January 17th, 2025. I, Caden Sipe, call this meeting to order. Ms. Scandival, can we please get a roll call at this time?
Here.
Here.
Jeez.
Looks like
I
she's
think
on
you're
the phone.
talking to me. Yeah, I know. I could barely hear when they started the roll call. Sorry. I am present, but I do have a prior conflict, so I can only be on here for about 30-45 minutes. We're actually out of town at family reunion, but I am on here for about 30-45 minutes.
Thank you.
Okay, just notify us before you leave.
Okay.
Counselor Dennis McMillan.
I'm here also, and like Katie, I'm also on the family reunion thing, and so I won't be available for probably 30-40 minutes or so. And I will let you know when I get out of here.
Thank you. Counselor McLean.
Here.
Mayor Sipe.
Here. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. At this time, council, is there any questions? Staff, is there any additions we need to make? Any amendments, please?
don't think so.
Council, is there any other questions on the agenda as it currently stands?
No, sir.
Council, I'm currently looking for a motion to approve the agenda as it stands.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion, we approve the agenda as presented.
Thank you for your motion. Can we get a second to the motion, please?
I'll second.
Thank you. Can we get a roll call?
Aye.
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 Counselor Dennis McMillan.
Aye.
Counselor
Aye.
McLean.
I couldn't hear that.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Moving on now to the first item of tonight's agenda, 5.1, the city manager's report. Dave?
Yeah, just a few general announcements. The first one is not of the city, but in the city. The Army Corps of Engineers will be doing improvements to 3rd Street from basically the underpass to DeVore, starting basically mid-July through right around Labor Day is when they're looking to finish that up. So it's not a city project, but I know probably everybody rides on that street at least once a month at some point. So there will be construction down there. Also had some announcements about landing days. I'll let Esmeralda take care of that for us.
Thank you. For those of you council members and mayor, if you're attending the parade, we would like everyone to be present at the Umatilla High School at 9:15 a.m. The parade does start at 10 o'clock. And then from there, we go down to the Marina Park where the event starts at 11. And we'll have community stage going, Big Top the Clown, Folklorico Hermes and dancers, and then kick off with the Miss Landing Days pageant. We have about 10 or so Miss Umatilla pageants getting ready for the pageant. It's kind of exciting. The salsa contest, and don't forget if you're participating in the parade, it is the Fun in the Sun theme. So don't forget to decorate your float. We have generational cloggers at 7:30 o'clock, and from there we have the main stage with all the artists that are coming. If you'd like more information on landing days, feel free to go to umatillalandingdays.org.
That's all we have for now.
Awesome. All right. Thank you. Council, is there any questions on the May and paid invoices at this time?
No, it looked good, sir.
Okay. All right, moving on to our first public comment section. Officer or Sergeant Dyke, can you help me out, please? Thank you, sir. First, we have this evening is Andrew Morris, please. join us, and please make sure you state your name and address. Real quick, I have a quick script to read as well. The public comment segment allows community members to share their opinions, raise concerns, and provide information directly to the city council. Comments should address city-related issues and must not pertain to items scheduled for a public hearing on the same evening's agenda. If you wish to speak, please complete the sign-up sheet, including the topic in which you wish to address. Please begin by stating your name and address when called to the podium. Speakers are allotted 5 minutes unless otherwise directed. Please note, comments criticizing city programs and operations are permitted during this segment. However, criticism of city employees is not allowed during public comment period. Concerns regarding city employees should be submitted in writing to the city's human resource manager for proper review. Thank you for your cooperation. Mr. Morris, you have the floor.
Andrew Morris, 402 Walla Walla Street. I just wanted to say thank you. I had emailed,
If you,
sorry, I just wanted to say thank you. I had emailed Mr. Stockdale and yourself, Mr. Mayor, about, and I had sent pictures, so I didn't sound crazy, about people being on the golf course late at night. And then Mr. Stockdale David had responded that they would do something, and I've seen the police walking around the golf course with their flashlights. So I just wanted to say thank you for monitoring that.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for your public comment, and glad it's working. Good job, Dave, and thank you, police department. Appreciate it. Any further comments from council at this time? Okay. Moving on now to the consent agenda. We currently have only one item this evening, 7.1, the June 3rd minutes. Is there any questions on the June 3rd minutes as they currently stand?
No, sir. I make a motion, we approve June
Hold on, just
June
one,
3rd
jump the gun.
minutes.
I'm looking for a motion.
Okay, I make a motion, we approve them.
Thank you. Can I get a second the motion, please?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Can we get a roll call?
Aye. Counselor Duffloff.
Aye.
Counselor Katie McMillan.
Aye.
Counselor Dennis McMillan.
Aye.
Counselor McLean.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Moving on to 8.1, the public hearing for resolution 41, 2025, resolution adjusting the budget for the 2024-2025 fiscal year by adopting a supplemental budget and revising appropriations.
so you need a motion to go into public hearing on that, Mayor.
Okay, this time we're looking for a motion to go into public hearing.
I make a motion, we go into a public hearing and go out of our regular session.
Thank you. Can we get a second to the motion, please?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Can we get a
I'll
roll
second
call?
that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Funderburk. Aye. Counselor Duffloff.
Aye.
Counselor Katie McMillan.
Aye.
Counselor Dennis McMillan.
Aye.
Counselor McLean.
Aye.
Nancy, is this the same script you want me to read, even though it says Chamber of Commerce? There's a different one. Thank you. Public hearing is now open for the purpose of considering resolution number 41, 2025, a resolution adjusting the budget for the 2024-2025 fiscal year by adopting a supplemental budget and revising appropriations. The procedure I'd like to follow tonight is in this manner. 1, a report from staff. 2, other members of the audience who wish to speak on this issue. C, closing of the hearing. At this time, will staff please make the report?
Yes, thank you. This is our one and only supplemental budget that we've seen this year for the 2024-25 fiscal year that is just about to end. And anytime that we change a fund's expenditures by more than 10%, we are required to hold a public hearing. In this case, there's only 2 funds that are impacted at that threshold. The first is the refuse fund. So we contract out with sanitary disposal for garbage collections, and then that money passed through, we retain an administrative and a franchise fee. This year, with the growth that we've seen in Umatilla, coupled with the refuse rate increase that we saw last year, the funds that we've collected have been higher than anticipated, and then as well as the expenditures that pass through. So we do have a little over $300,000 increase to the fund for the refuse fund. The other fund that's impacted is the Building Reserve Fund. Council may remember that you guys passed a motion to actually dissolve the Building Reserve Fund. That was the fund that used to account for the City Hall loan payment. That loan has been paid off. And in the last fiscal year, we had slightly higher interest than anticipated when those interest rates went up. And so this is the final transfer needed to officially close that fund and transfer the balance to the general fund.
Any questions from council for the staff at this time? Okay. Now is the time for public testimony. Persons who wish to testify, please come to the podium, give your name and address, and sign up for the record. You'll be limited to 5 minutes for their provided testimony. Are there any members of the audience who wish to speak in favor of this resolution at this time? Any members of the audience who wish to speak against this proposal? Are there any members of the audience who wish to speak that are in the neutral on this proposal? If there are no further testimonies, I will take a motion at this time to close the public hearing and go back into our regular council meeting.
Mr. Mayor, I would make a motion to close the public hearing and move back into regular session.
Thank you for your motion. Can we get a second to the motion, please?
I'll second.
Thank you. Can we get a roll call?
Counselor Funderburk.
Aye.
Counselor Duffloff.
Aye.
Counselor Katie McMillan.
Aye.
Counselor Dennis McMillan.
Aye.
Counselor McLean.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. We're now out of our public hearing at this time, back in regular session. At this time, do you have any motions to pass this? No, we're good. It's even better. Look at that. Okay. Next up, we have a public hearing for state revenue sharing. Can we please get a motion for going into a second public hearing?
I make a motion, we go into a public hearing and exit our regular session.
Thank you for your motion. Can we get a second to the motion, please?
I'll second.
Can we get a roll call?
Counselor Funderburk.
Aye.
Counselor Duffloff.
Aye.
Counselor Katie McMillan.
Aye.
Counselor Dennis McMillan.
Aye.
Counselor McLean.
Aye.
Okay, the ayes have it. We are now in our public hearing. This time, public hearing is now open for the purpose of considering the possible use of state revenue sharing. Procedure that I would like to follow tonight is in this manner: a report from staff, public testimony. First, a report from staff. Second, public testimony. Third, committee comments or questions, and then fourth, to close the hearing. This time, please provide the staff report.
Yes, thank you. So the Budget Committee met on April 15th, 2025, and held the first of the required public hearings for state revenue sharing. In order to receive those state funds, we do have to have 2 public hearings where the public can provide testimony. There are a couple different sources of revenue that we receive from the state. They are distributed mainly based off of Portland State University's population estimates. So for the next fiscal year, that shows we are going to be up by 187 people, or 2.3%, bringing our population to 8,256. The first of the revenue that we get is liquor revenue that flows into the general fund. That is 34% of the liquor revenue collected by the state, split into 2 ways. The first is 20% solely on a per capita basis. This year, because of the new building that they're constructing for OLCC, we are expecting an actual decrease in that revenue of about $35,000 for a total budgeted amount of $131,000. The other 14% is a little bit more complicated. They factor in property taxes, population, and income. And again, we expect to see an increase for the same reason, about a $52,000 decrease to $130,000. The last fund that flows into the general fund is cigarette tax revenues. We only receive 1.7% of the total cigarette tax collected. And just as smoking has decreased, so has that revenue. Next year, we anticipate a budgeted amount of $4,870, which is just about $50 less than the year before. Combined, in comparison to the previous fiscal year, we're looking at a decrease of about $87,000 to the general fund. And then the last state revenue sharing that we receive is to the street fund through the gas tax. We receive about 16% of all fuel taxes collected as cities, and we expect that to remain relatively flat next year. The only increase that we expect to see is due to the population growth. So we have an estimated apportionment of about 670,000, which is an increase of 50,000. And that is all I have at this time. If there are no concerns, then I would prepare a resolution that you'll see later tonight. I have done that. That would certify our election to receive those revenues.
Thank you. Is there any questions from council at this time? Okay. At this point, persons who wish to testify, please identify yourself and please give your name and address for the record. Is there any persons who wish to speak at this time? Once again, is there any other comments, questions, council? Okay. If there's no further testimony, we'd like to make a motion to close the hearing.
Mr. Mayor, I would make a motion to close the public hearing on revenue sharing and move back into regular session.
Thank you for your motion. Can we get a second motion, please?
I'll second.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Roll call.
I am.
Counselor Funderburk,
Aye.
Counselor Duffloff,
Aye.
Counselor Katie McMillan,
Aye.
Counselor Dennis McMillan,
Aye.
Counselor McLean.
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. Motion carries. We are now out of our public hearing. Moving on now to new business, we have 9.1, the second reading of the adoption of ordinance number 876. Ms. Cannavale?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to declare a actual conflict on this one, and I will sit out.
Thank you. Oh, that's right. Thank you. Can we get a motion for the second reading, please?
So we're looking for a motion for second reading of
Yes.
ordinance by title.
Title only, yeah.
I'd make a motion, so.
A second.
Can we get a roll call, please?
Counselor Funderburk,
Aye.
Counselor Katie McMillan,
Aye.
Counselor Dennis McMillan,
Aye.
Counselor McLean.
Aye.
Let the record show that Counselor Duffloff excused himself from this motion.
Thank you.
Ordinance number 876, an ordinance amending Title 7, Chapter 6 of the Umatilla Municipal Code to update the Public Parks Code to expand those authorized to sell and serve alcoholic beverages during community events at the Umatilla Marina Park, to include an exemption for alcohol consumption at Big River Golf Course and Umatilla Marina and RV Park, to provide for the use of golf carts at Big River Golf Course, and to provide an exception of tobacco use at Big River Golf Course and the Umatilla Marina and RV Park.
You're now looking for a motion to approve the ordinance at this time.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion. We approve new business item 9.1, the approval of ordinance number 876.
Thank you for your motion. Can we get a second motion, please?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Mr. McLean. This time, can we get a roll call?
Counselor Funderburk,
Aye.
Counselor Katie McMillan,
Aye.
Counselor Dennis McMillan,
Aye.
Counselor McLean.
Aye.
Let the record show that Counselor Duffloff excused himself from this motion.
Thank you very much. Moving on to 9.2, the second reading of adoption of ordinance 877. Do you want to join? Yeah, this one's for infrastructure. Unless you're involved in telecom, I don't think you are. All right, I don't know. You got lots of irons on the fire. I don't know which one was. Okay. Looking for a motion to approve the second reading. By title only, please.
I would make a motion for second reading of ordinance 877 by title only.
Thank you for that motion. Can we get a second to the motion, please?
I'll second that.
I'll second that.
Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Counselor Funderburk,
Aye.
Counselor Duffloff,
Aye.
Counselor Katie McMillan,
Aye.
Counselor Dennis McMillan,
Aye.
Counselor McLean.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Ordinance number 877, an ordinance granting to Intermountain Infrastructure Group LLC, a Delaware limited liability company, a franchise to construct, operate, and maintain a telecommunications network within the city of Umatilla, Oregon.
Thank you, Nancy. This time we're looking for a motion to approve the ordinance.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion. We approve new business item 9.2, the approval of ordinance number 877.
Thank you for your motion. Can we get a second to the motion, please?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Mr. McLean. Can we get a roll call?
Counselor Thunderberg,
Aye.
Counselor Duffloff,
Aye.
Counselor Katie McMillan,
Aye.
Counselor Dennis McMillan,
Aye.
Counselor McLean.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Moving on now to 9.3, resolution number 41, 2025, a resolution adjusting the budget for the 2024-2025 fiscal year by adopting a supplemental budget and revising appropriations. Council, do you have any questions on this? We already spoke about it earlier. Okay. With no further questions, we're currently looking for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion, we approve resolution number 41-2025.
Thank you for your motion. Can we get a second to the motion, please?
I will second that motion.
Thank you very much, Mr. McLean. Can we get a roll call vote?
Counselor Thunderberg,
Aye.
Counselor Duffloff,
Aye.
Counselor Katie McMillan,
Aye.
Counselor Dennis McMillan,
Aye.
Counselor McLean.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Sorry. Resolution carries. Motion passes. Moving on now to agenda item number 9.4, resolution number 42, 2025, resolution adopting the 2025-2026 budget.
Mayor, if you'd like, I can speak to the next four items together as they all pertain to next fiscal year's budget. And then if you'd like, you can make one motion to approve together.
That'd be great.
So the first resolution, 42-2025, approves the budget in its entirety. This is the same budget that was presented and approved by the Budget Committee back in April for a total of $143,071,503. The second resolution, 43-2025, appropriates that exact dollar amount out among the various funds and programs of the city. 44-2025 is our resolution that levies our ad valorem taxes and categorizes those for the next fiscal year. That resolution is for our permanent tax rate of 2.9191 per thousand and no additional tax levy. And then resolution 45-2025 is the resolution that we addressed in the second public hearing that declares our election to receive the state revenues.
Any questions from council this time? Okay, we're looking for a motion to approve agenda item 9.4, 9.5, 9.6, and 9.7.
Mr. Mayor, I would make a motion to approve item 9.4, resolution number 42-2025, item 9.5, resolution number 43-2025, item number 9.6, resolution number 44-2025, and item 9.7, resolution number 45-2025.
Thank you for your motion. Can we get a second to the motion, please?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Can we get a roll call?
Counselor Thunderberg,
Aye.
Counselor Duffloff,
Aye.
Counselor Katie McMillan,
Aye.
Counselor Dennis McMillan,
Aye.
Counselor McLean.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Motion carries, and we are now moving on to agenda item 9.8, resolution 46, a resolution amending the employee handbook for the city of Umatilla to update the city's paid leave organ equivalent plan.
I'm almost done talking for tonight. So back when the council adopted our most recent version of the employee handbook, it was with the understanding that we were developing a paid leave Oregon equivalent plan. So the state started a paid leave Oregon plan that we have been participating in that is funded through payroll deductions of 1% split between the employee and the employer. as we had a couple employees take advantage of that program. As any new program, it had some kinks. One of it was delayed processing times for employees who submitted claims, and then just not very much transparency on exactly what leave balances were available. So we did a lot of research with other cities throughout the state who had already implemented their own equivalent plan, and we did send that to the Oregon Employment Department for review. They have given us the official green light, and so what's incorporated here adopts that policy.
Excellent. Any questions from council at this time? Okay, this time we're looking for a motion to approve.
I would make a motion to approve resolution 46-2025.
Thank you for your motion. Can we get a second to the motion, please?
I'll second.
Can we get a roll call?
Counselor Funderburk.
Aye.
Counselor Duffloff.
Aye.
Counselor Katie McMillan.
Aye.
Counselor Dennis McMillan.
Aye.
Counselor McLean.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Motion has been approved. Moving on to 9.9, Resolution 47-2025, a resolution adopting the City of Umatilla Roadway Safety Action Plan and adopting a zero vision initiative with the goal of eliminating all traffic fatalities and serious injuries, collisions in the City 5.
Thank
Is
you, Mayor.
Scott going to join us, or is it this one you, Dave?
Nope, we actually have Spencer from JUB, our engineer of record, will present this for us. This item's come before council a couple different times, and we hope to make this last presentation available for you here. Give us about 15-30 seconds to pull it up here on the screen for you.
You guys are moving fast tonight.
That's the goal every night. That's what we're
Expected
gonna.
to sit and listen for a little longer. So congratulations for you. I'll be brief. I think you had 5 minutes on here for me. Presented on this last week, so you've seen it, but I did just want to let you know what we've changed since the draft. And there were some things noted in the draft that we are going to add. So we did receive some comments from ODOT through the process, and they wanted us to double check if there were we didn't show any collisions on.
Spencer, I'm going to interrupt you real quick. A little friendlier with that microphone, please.
Even closer?
Better.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. They asked us to double check collisions on Highway 395 south of Highway 730. So in that process, we found 28. So that trickles through the whole document. Many of the tables were updated. A lot of those crashes were rear end accidents. And that's on the roadway segment, not just at the intersection there. So those queues, the stack up of cars is getting long enough that people are not expecting it as far back from that intersection. I will mention that the transportation system plan that we prepared a couple of years ago for you identified some capacity improvements there that should shorten those queues and hopefully make that a safer intersection. You can go to head to the next slide. And this one here, this just mentions briefly, just a refresher, that there were 7 required components. You received the funding for this study from the USDOT. And so we've incorporated all of those 7 different components into the study for you. A couple other things that we added, we strengthened some language with respect to, because, well, interestingly enough, here in your city, the state highways are very, very important. 80% of the collisions are happening on the US highways. So if we only did the study with the 20% of the collisions that are on the local streets, then this study would be completely different. And so we strengthened the language to recognize that coordination with ODOT would need to be performed in order to do any of these intersection improvements that are identified. And then we also added some lists of projects that we felt, although they weren't identified specifically to address a safety issue, that when they are designed, that they can contribute to safety, even if they were in your water system plan or your sewer system plan. Primarily because you'd be tearing up a road and maybe there's an opportunity to put a sidewalk in or something like that that could benefit and give pedestrians a safe place to be. So on the last slide, the next one, I didn't tell you to move forward, but that just summarizes there the things that were changed since the draft. But this map here shows and shows all of the collisions. There were 237, I believe, in the draft, and 265 total within the city limits of Umatilla. Some of those are on the I-82 main line, which is really challenging for the city to deal with, but at least ODOT has a record that we've looked at those as well. So if there's any questions that I can answer for you, I'd be happy to do that.
So with the addition of the 395, that's 395 northbound.
Well, yeah, most of the collisions are northbound.
Yep. Okay.
So there is a resolution that is one of the requirements of the grant is for the city to adopt a resolution or some commitment to work on what we call target zero in the safety world, which is 0 fatalities, 0 serious collisions, injury collisions. Umatilla is doing really good, as I explained last week. That you don't have very many. There were 2. So the data set that we've been using is from 2018 to 2022. No fatalities during that time period, but there were 2 in 2023. And just a handful, I think 9 serious injuries. So Umatilla is doing really well. So any other questions? And then you can take whatever action you take.
Thank you, sir, for your presentation. Is there any concern if we don't hit reach zero by 2030? Is there any consequences for accepting this grant, or we just need to prove that we made an attempt?
I think we just have to make a attempt.
I mean, you can answer if you'd like. I
mentioned that one of the components was transparency, being a couple of different things. One is posting this study on your website, and then also monitoring things. Are we getting better? Are we at least progressing? Are you making policy changes and progressing towards the strategies that we've identified, and also taking on projects and monitoring whether those projects are in fact reducing crashes?
Yeah, if I can elaborate on that a little bit. So that's what he said is really the gist of the answer. If we need to demonstrate objective actions that we've taken to try to get to this zero vision initiative. And so, but if we take these actions and we don't get to zero, there's not like any penalty or anything associated with that. But at the 5-year mark from now, we provide that data. So these are the actions that we took. Here's the updated data. And then based upon that data, we'll be able to determine if the actions that we took were effective or not. And then we'll course correct and we'll submit another plan in 5 years.
Right, yeah, we did, the plan should be updated every 5 years, and we did put some monitoring aspects in there where you should pull the data annually, or I think every 2 years, and look at the data annually to look at trends.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I feel safer.
Yeah, feels
I feel
good.
safer. I want to go drive now.
We're doing our best. All right, right at this time, we're looking for a motion to approve the traffic plan as it currently stands.
Mr. Mayor, I would make a motion to approve resolution number 47-2025.
Thank you very much for your motion, Mr. McLean. Can we get a second to the motion, please?
I'll second it.
Second that.
Gonna give this one to Mr. Dufloff. Roll call, please.
Counselor Funderburk.
Aye.
Counselor Duffloff.
Aye.
Counselor Katie McMillan.
Aye.
Counselor Dennis McMillan.
Aye.
Counselor McLean.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries. And once again, thank you for presenting
you,
and
sir.
thanks for
Thank you.
keeping us safe.
Mayor, can
Moving
I
on to-
interrupt for a minute?
Yes, ma'am.
I need to get going. So is Dennis himself, but I'm sorry that we can't be on the full meeting, but at least we got on for a little bit, and I appreciate you guys being patient with us while we're gone and stuff.
We appreciate it. Thanks for helping out.
Thank you guys. Have a great rest of
Yeah,
your
I'm
meeting.
sorry about the horrible delays.
Just
No
add
worries.
to the comedy. We're good. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you very much, guys.
Okay, moving on to
All right. Have a good night.
You too.
moving on to 9.10, resolution number 48, 2025, resolution approving the Umatilla stage rental agreement and associated fees.
Mayor Sipe, with our 2 counselors leaving, you now become a voting member.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's very rare. I'm
Only
very
if there's a
excited.
tie.
No, there's no, I am a voting member now.
No, he gets it for quorum, but he still only votes if there's a tie.
Yeah.
Yeah, only votes if there's a tie.
Oh,
But yeah, I mean.
you took my fun away. It's okay.
But yeah, he's what helps, he's what keeps the quorum.
Thank
Yes.
you.
All right, at this
Okay.
time, we're looking for any questions or comments right now about the Umatilla stage. Esmeralda, did you have anything you would like to add to the information?
I think we beat this in the ground, haven't we?
Yeah, so we brought it to
Feel like
council
it's the last time.
on the June 3rd meeting, and with the edits that Council McLean right, made
good.
about the for-profit making money, I fixed those mistakes, and nothing else has changed since the last meeting.
Okay,
Thank you.
awesome, appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Mr. McLean, anything else you'd like to add?
No,
Okay.
I gotta have my fun finding those things. Come on.
Okay. This time we're looking for motion to approve resolution number 48, 2025.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion, we approve resolution number 48-2025.
Thank you for that motion. Can we get a second to the motion, please?
I second it.
Thank you for seconding that. Ms. Funderburk, can we get a roll call?
Counselor Funderburk,
Aye.
Counselor Duffloff,
Aye.
Counselor McLean,
Aye.
Moving on now to agenda item 9.11, a resolution number 49, 2025, a resolution approving a new scoring criteria for the downtown revitalization grant and local business grant programs. This time I would like to declare a potential conflict of interest. My parents are business owners downtown and have applied, however, have not applied since I've been a sitting council member. But just want to make sure I'm fully transparent on that.
Same here, potential conflict as well because of family business may apply.
Okay, any questions on this at this time, council? Talked about it a couple different times. Is there anything else we need to add?
I just have a couple highlights from you seen it last time. Very quickly, so we continued the number 4 section of financial leverage, sort of the bang for your buck of the grant. So we've created those individual scoring lanes for those. And then we updated, as per our discussion last time, that even if it's a national franchise, if it's owned locally, it gets credit as being locally owned. And then the last section here is 6, is we created essentially a bonus or a negative, I suppose, as well. If you've received this grant in the past and you're eligible for another grant, if you complied with the program completely before, you did everything that was asked of you, you did what you said you were going to do. And so we have that history there with you. You get essentially a 3-point bonus. If you haven't applied before, it's 0. If you have applied before and you didn't do what you said you were going to do, or you built something significantly or otherwise different, and we had an issue, there's essentially a 3-point demerit, I suppose, on there. And so we created that section there that goes along. We're calling it applicant history and previous awards. Outside of that, it looks very similar to what you saw before.
Yeah, it looks great.
Yep, looks really good. Yeah, any other-
I think it's great how it's evolving
Yeah.
because our city's evolving and so many people are now taking part of it. And so,
We have a lot of interest waiting in queue, and
Yeah.
so I've already told the community development manager that if this is approved here tonight, we can start taking applications tomorrow.
awesome.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Great.
And I want to say, I really appreciate you guys' work on getting this done. So it quantifies exactly, there's a scale. We can see it in front of us.
Mhm.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, if there's no further comments this time,
So when will we have some, a flyer, or when will it, the information be available online to give out to people? I run in, this one's near and dear to me. And
Mhm.
I have people that approach me asking, where's the paperwork?
Yep, the information is in draft, should be completed by the very end of this week. We were kind of waiting to make sure we got the thumbs up here before we spent too many resources on that. But by the end of the week or first thing next week, Monday or Tuesday, so we should be here within a week.
Great.
thank you. Okay, at this time, council, we're looking for a motion to approve the resolution.
I would make a motion to approve resolution number 492025.
Thank you very much for your motion. Can we get a second to the motion, please?
I'll second.
Can we get a roll call?
Counselor Funderburk,
Aye.
Counselor Duffloff,
Aye.
Counselor McLean,
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. At this time, we are now concluded our new business section and moving on to our second public comment of this evening. Sergeant Dyke, thank you very much. Thank you very much. At this time, first up for our second public comment, we have Roxy Fudge. I'm sorry, what was that, Mrs. Fudge?
It's just public comment.
It's public comments. So if you have anything you'd like to add to this evening's things, you're more than welcome to make any comments as long as it's
Yeah.
not in criticizing any public employees. All right, you're too kind.
As you all well know, I'm a strong supporter of Rock the Locks.
Miss Fudge, we got to make sure that you please state your name and address for the record.
Roxy Fudge, PO Box 1287, Umatilla, Oregon 97882.
Thank you, Ms. Fudge.
I just want to take an opportunity to thank you all for letting me speak tonight. I'm here to strongly support the Rock the Locks Music Festival, and I want the council to keep this in their mind over the next month, because I know it's fast coming up in July where some heavy decisions are going to be made. So I wanted to put it fresh in your mind again, that this event has quickly become a source of pride and energy and economic growth for Umatilla. This festival draws thousands, boosting sales for our local businesses. For many, it's the most profitable weekend of the year. But beyond the dollars, it brings connection and pride. It celebrates community and shows that Umatilla is vibrant and growing. Although everyone has an opinion, please listen to the majority. Listen to the businesses and residents that no longer want a bedroom community. They want growth. Thank you to our city manager, David Stockdale, and the city employees and the council for their unwavering dedication and time spent doing their very best to make everyone feel heard and creating something we all can be proud of. Let's please keep this momentum going in Umatilla. Rock the Locks isn't just an event. It is a catalyst for the kind of community. Excuse me, it just cleared on me. Sorry. It is a catalyst for the kind of community we are all working to build. Umatilla strong and Umatilla proud. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Ms. Fudge.
Thank you.
This time we have Mr. Kelly Nobles.
Thank you for the time. Kelly Nobles, 50 Stevens, Umatilla, Oregon. I want to thank the Parks Department for all the great programs that they give the city. There is so much great stuff going on now. I don't know how you even pull it off. You know, you guys knock it out of the park. In specific, and thank you for your support for Rock the Locks. I too feel like you. You had a nice town hall meeting with Rock the Locks where we all got to participate. I think you're going to review some of that information. And I just wanted to say how well that went, how good it was. I wanted to share with you personally, my biggest rub was in the volume concerns. We didn't talk to the guy that ran the PA, Alan, that owed PSA. And I know you and I talked about the phase cancellation that he did. He believes that's even more effective than the wall. The wall provides a line of sight thing. But I was frustrated that nobody talked to him last year and nobody talked to him this year. And I called him yesterday, even after we talked at the town meeting, just to see if anybody followed up and talked to the guy that does it across the nation. And no, nobody called him except for Eric Tweedy, the promoter of Fantasy Productions. And he got some good information from Alan, and I appreciate that. So the town hall was fantastic. A lot of the follow-up is good, you know, but I hope that they're really, you know, my concern about that was frustrating, but I'm here to talk about I appreciate you doing that. One of the things that the budget committee member that I was in the town hall with told me when we talked about the loss at the event, I said, did you count the 10 golf carts in this loss that are an asset? He said, well, no. And I said, did you count the fence that we bought? Did you count the machines that put the grass in? Are they included in that net loss? He said, they don't give us a line item. I don't know. I said, you don't know on the budget committee? He said, no, the council knows, but we don't know what the line items are. We just have the number. I said, well, then you don't know if the number is a net loss or if it's part of assets, or how can you now talk to the community about that loss when you don't even know? So that was a concern, and he felt the same way. And the last thing that I want to mention is he also said in the budget committee, if you don't approve the budget for Rock the Locks now, then when you do vote it in, you'd have to amend the budget. So I'm hoping that you would put it in, and if for some reason in July it doesn't go through, then you can fix that. but it's harder to go back and include the money if it isn't in the budget. So I hope that that's part of the budget. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nobles. Appreciate
Thank you,
it.
sir.
Next up, we have Mia Paget.
Hey, I'm Mia Paget. I live at 404 Walla Walla Street. You all know me. And unlike the two previous commenters, quite a bit more dubious about the possibility of running Rock the Locks successfully with the stages located where they are, especially moving forward. I want to thank everybody here for putting in place the process that you've put in place for the decision-making regarding whether or not to continue Lock the Locks. I think that was a big step, and I think it's important. And I'm really glad that Jensen's strategy has been doing the work they've been doing, and they've come tonight. But I'm concerned, as Roxy just said, that you have about a month ahead of you to make some big decisions. And for example, in the report that's going to be presented tonight, there's a number of things that really stood out to me, and I've only had a look at it today. You know, it hasn't been presented before. But there's some things that concern me because you're going to be making decisions in part based on that report. And we haven't had a chance to really look at it, talk about it, get feedback on it. And I don't know that there was a draft that was that anybody like us could say, hey, wait a second, this stands out as a big problem. Now, in my previous work, I did a lot of communication, and I know that a lot can be done with statistics and presentations. The Challenger shuttle went down in flames, and a lot of people died because some bar graphs were done wrong. Now, in this particular case, in this report on page 12, on page 3 and on page 12, they talk about the group the group of people that do not reside in Umatilla or any nearby community. So these are people that represent ties to the festival or to the city, and they are not any part of Umatilla. And that's about 25% of the respondents. And they've grouped them with the all group, and they've put them in the bar graphs with a very dark pronounced color at the bottom of every group of items in the bars, which means visually, anybody reading these graphs is going to think that's the most important. That's the most important line. When in fact, they say clearly, these are not a primary focus for the council's decision-making process. They are not analyzed as a separate group because they are not a primary focus for the council's decision-making process. So those bar graphs need to be updated so that it doesn't give that first view, visual view for the people looking at it that is false, that is skewing it, okay, toward a group of people who aren't supposed to be part of your decision-making process. Okay, so that's a very important change to make to those graphs. And I think that was probably inadvertent, but still, it is going to really impact your decision-making if visually the bar graphs are saying one thing, even though in the small print elsewhere in the document it says, these aren't important for your decision-making process. So one suggestion. Another part of it is there's a place in the survey where where you suggest having a representative survey done, because this wasn't a representative survey, it was just a sampling of people who decided to respond. But you just said a few minutes ago that there's over 8,000 people in this community, and there's only about 20 or 30 people that are really heavily impacted by this festival. So there's no way that a representative survey is going to represent people who are impacted in a non-representative way, in a non-equal way. So I would be very, very careful about designing anything that you consider to be a representative survey, because no matter what, it is going to be against the quality of life of the people who are the most impacted negatively by the festival. Another question I had with respect to this was, there was one thing about the public alert system, people getting notified by that. How many residents receive public alerts? That's just a question that I had. I don't know that very many people do, and I know that we didn't, but I don't think we're on that list. And it would be interesting to know whether that's really effective or not. A number of the comments that were quoted in there talked about this being only a 3-day per year event, and that shouldn't be too much noise, too much for the people who live there. And yet the city council is considering adding an ordinance that allows for camping at any special event in the golf course. And those are probably going to be loud events. And in the beginning, when you were talking about this and when you were budgeting, you were talking about doing the festival more than once a year. So it's probably misrepresenting things for people who probably they don't know themselves, but we're talking about in the long term that this may be much more than 3 days per year. Right now, we don't know. And making decisions on something that is not clear like that is difficult. So those were just some quick comments that I had with respect to looking at that. And again, I've just been able to see it today. I haven't been able to look at it. There are a number of places in there. I know a lot of my neighbors, time's up.
Yeah, that's time right there.
Okay. Thank you for your time, okay?
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mia. Next up, we have Josiah Barron.
See how Kelly feels. Why you pushed it up here? Seems so low. But Josiah Barron, 100 Klein Avenue, Umatilla Chamber of Commerce. Got a upcoming event here. One of our members, Casey's Place Photography, is hosting a paint and sip night on Friday, June 20th from 6 to 8 p.m. actually at the Umatilla Chamber office. So it's a partnership with another local business that makes car air fresheners. So you get to paint your own car air freshener. And this is a registration event so that you can pick out which air freshener you want to do and support a local business here. So it's on June 20th, Friday, June 20th at 6 to 8 p.m. at the Umatilla Chamber office. And then, of course, I just wanted to say, I hope I see a lot of you over at Landing Days. I know Parks and Rec and city staff have put a lot of work into Umatilla Landing Days this year. I'll be over there at the boat rides, helping there, so it will be a lot of fun. And it's summertime, it's hot now. If you're not getting it out of your fridge to stay hydrated, remember, we've got a lot of great businesses. You can get a cold drink somewhere, and also Ray's Days, donuts, and etc. And Donita's Tacos both have ice cream. So keep that in mind. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Josiah.
Are you gonna see if you can get Greg Smith back to a chamber meeting after session?
That is certainly something, yeah, I can talk to him about.
That would be awesome. Thank you.
Okay. At this time, we're moving on now to our discussion item for this evening. Discussion item number 11.1, the Rock the Locks Community Engagement and Economic Impact Reports.
Thank you, Mayor. Excuse me. So we have our two consultants that worked on this for us. We have Jensen Strategies, who did the majority or the lion's share of all the work of the community engagement and outreach, survey, open houses, town halls, and so on. And then we also have Eco Northwest that is here tonight as well. They did the analysis on the economic impact of the event. And so what we'd like to be able to do here tonight is to have Jensen Strategies present the report in their entirety. If you have a kind of a quick question or a question that may be a quick answer, we could probably interrupt and do that. We'd like to hear the entirety of their report if possible, and then have Eco Northwest go hear the entirety of their report so you kind of have the 360 view of all that information. And so if you have questions, jot those down, and then we'll be able to kind of address those as we go along the way, if that's an all right approach. Give us about a minute to pull this up so that we can share it online as well. I have another second wireless microphone, if that's helpful for you too.
Fantastic, thank you.
All right, we're ready. Thank you.
Well, thank you. No trouble at all. Good evening, members of council, mayor, and of course, many familiar faces in the audience, many folks who have contributed their time throughout this process. My name is Amelia Wallace. I'm a senior associate with Jensen Strategies, and I'm joined tonight by my colleague, Sia Lindstrom, senior advisor with our group, and we are pleased to share the results of the work that we have been doing since we set off to collect input and hear from the community in March. So if you wouldn't mind advancing to the next slide. No trouble. All right, so there's us. If you'll go to the next slide. Excellent. So tonight, as you expect, we'll be sharing results from 3 key activities that we have summarized in the report that was distributed with your packet, that was part of a holistic awareness and input process related to the festival. We'll be sharing a lot of information tonight. Oh, if you can go back to the previous slide, please. Thank you. We'll be sharing a lot of info tonight. We're hoping that you have had the opportunity to review the report, but of course, we'll be walking through and highlighting some key details for you. We invite you to listen with curiosity. We know we learned a lot from pouring through the rich amount of data that we got, and we're pleased to share what we found. And we want to remind that, as many folks have noted tonight, that you're not being asked to make a decision. This is your opportunity to learn, to hear, and consider before that point. So what we'll do tonight, we'll remind you of our charge from council back in March. Our charge from council back in March. That was a good one. What led us here? We'll share the process and the outcome of those meetings, and we'll spend most of our time on our most robust input collector, which was the community survey. And what you'll hear, what we've seen, unlike other folks, we like to give the punchline first. We saw a lot of polarity, which will not be surprising, different strong opinions held in the community, but also some consensus, some areas that folks do agree, all of which we feel will be helpful in informing council's decision next month. So with that, Sia, do you want to talk about our background?
And
Next slide.
Next slide, please. Thank you. Are you all able to hear me? Yes. Great. So this slide will look familiar to you all. This is the process that we've been walking through. We launched this process with you, with City Council, back on March 4th, where you provided direction on both criteria and engagement. So this is just a reminder of where we are. Jensen Strategies has been conducting community engagement throughout April and May. We've been very busy, and we are now back to this evening to provide the results of those community engagement activities. July 15th then is the date that that you all are scheduled to look at your decision making. Next slide, please. So as part of council direction, you all asked us to do community engagement in 5 key areas. And I'm going to run them through briefly here. These definitions were provided throughout our community engagement activities, and they can be found in the report if you want to look at the definitions in more depth. I'm just going to give you an overview tonight. First is economic benefits, both local and regional. Second bucket of considerations you all wanted us to check in about were around financial considerations, looking specifically at city support, cost recovery, and return on investment, which we'll be hearing more about from Eco Northwest here in a minute. You also wanted us to ask about community impacts, and specifically around community concerns like public safety, around neighbor concerns like noise mitigation, and around community benefits. The fourth one was around festival management. You specifically asked us to seek input on whether city, nonprofit, for-profit, or some kind of partnership was of interest to the community. And finally, the last consideration you asked us to look at was time frame. And we specifically asked folks, are you interested in looking at ending Rock the Locks after the current year or extending it 1, 2, or 3 years longer? So these 5 are going to be the considerations we will consistently look at this evening. Okay, now. So there are going to be 3 primary activities that we're going to highlight tonight. Number 1 is the neighbor meeting and a follow-up survey. And the second is community town hall. And then the third and probably most lengthy of the evening is community survey. And with this, I'll turn it over to Amelia and she'll walk us through the community meeting.
Excellent. Thank you. So to share a little bit about the meetings, I'm gonna we'll summarize each meeting separately and also share a little bit about how we promoted these opportunities. So next slide, please. So as you know, Rock the Locks is a large scale and multifaceted event. And as such, it was very important to clearly lay out that pathway where folks knew when and how to participate. So we prepared this pathway, this layout back in March, and it has not changed. We love it when that can happen. So as you'll see, started back in March 4th with the council work session. We had our 2 key meetings in early April, about a week apart. And then we're presenting our results tonight. Now, if you'll go ahead and advance to the next slide, we just wanted to show this process. As was mentioned before, it was important to carve out where this did and did not align with the full city budget process. So just being transparent, we were also promoting these opportunities so folks knew when and how decisions are being made. If you'll hit, there's our 2 stars on the 2 key opportunities we'll be talking about tonight. But really, we share this to highlight that this includes all of the opportunities, even beyond the 2 key ones that we facilitated. So moving on to the next slide, how did we get the word out? Early and as often as possible was the game. As far as tools, we sought to use a diversity of platforms. So of course, established, tried and true ones, such as the city webpage, the specific community information page related to Rock the Locks, the city event calendar, as well as banner for anyone who just happened to be visiting the city website, so they would see it front and center. A number of key pushes were prepared via social media, also direct emails to folks who have throughout the last year and a half, actually a little more than that, signed up to receive updates about the event, as well as what was previously mentioned, a newer pilot program, or not pilot, a newer program implemented by the city to provide public alerts, in which this was used as a test and early message of that system. So as a result, we did see some strong participation from all of those communication pushes. We saw 9 folks turn out for the neighbor meeting, consistent with the group of folks that we've been working with over the last year and a half. We had over 30 attend the town hall. That's a rough number because we had a good number at the beginning and some change throughout. And then actually up 500 survey responses, which if you'll move to the next slide, that was one that we could track pretty closely with the data and align to where that that overlapped with areas that we did key communication pushes. So you'll see on the graph that we have above you, number of raw survey responses received by day, with stars indicating key communication promotions when the survey launched, a week before it closed, and prior to its ending. Now, I do want to note we're highlighting the survey responses here, but we made an effort to promote all of the opportunities that folks could engage in Rock the Locks throughout our communications, just so people got the same message often from the beginning. So next slide, please. So now to share just a little bit about the neighbor meeting. Now I'll caveat, I'm not going to spend a lot of time here because this meeting was very focused on some key topics related to particular neighbor issues. And we've provided a full recording of that meeting that's available online for anyone who wants to hear more about the specific sound mitigation and other neighborhood focused plans for Rock the Locks 2025. But just briefly, so the key purpose of this meeting was to continue engaging with neighbors who have been contributing their time and sharing their concerns about the festival for the last year and a half. So it began with a presentation from city staff about plans underway for 2025, and then offered an extensive question and answer session to give dialogue between the neighbors and staff about upcoming plans. And most importantly, to queue up the future, to ensure that neighbors were well aware of the future Rock the Locks decisions that were coming down the line. So it's important to note that this was a complement, not a replacement of the community's town hall event. And yeah, I will turn it over to Sia to share about the community survey, community town hall. Goodness.
Thank you, Amelia. Okay, so next slide, one more for me.
Oh, I
That's
apologize.
all
I
right.
actually skipped a slide. I'm sorry. Do I hit the survey? Yeah, will you go back one more? I apologize. I neglected to cover, as part of the town hall meeting, we also held a follow-up survey. We received 9 responses to that survey, and just 2 quick highlights. Again, we've summarized this in detail in the meeting summary provided in your report. But from the survey responses we received, we asked about improvements from 2023 to 2024, and many noted that there was a noticed improvement from the sound wall in their experience. Although conversely, when asked about things to still improve, most also felt it was still too loud, particularly focusing on vibrations or when rules that were set up weren't followed by the bands. So with that.
Great. Okay. Next one is the Community Town Hall, which was held on April 16th. I know a number of folks who are here in the audience tonight were participants in that. We had about 30 community members. As Amelia mentioned, they kind of ebbed and flowed throughout the evening. I know we had a couple of city councilors there and mayor as well, which is terrific to have you all out and supporting it. People were able to provide public testimony that is available online if you'd like to see that. We also did a small group round robin exercise. People had the opportunity to provide input. You remember those 5 areas that I talked about a little earlier that I said you were going to see throughout? So they were able to provide input on those hopes and concerns for each of those 5 areas. And you can find those in the report as well. Next slide. Just a brief overview of the 4 observations that we lift out. And I urge you all to read the report. There's really good, interesting, meaty comments, I think, throughout the report. But I'm just going to give you the highlights tonight. So we had 4 observations. One is that from the town hall, fiscal and economic issues received the most attention. That probably came up the most frequently. There was also a lot of attention paid to sound mitigation issues, most often related to a change in the stage or the festival location. Third, there was polarity of opinion. You won't be surprised to hear that the folks who came to the town hall were most likely either strong supporters or clear opponents. And so you could see that clearly on the flip charts that people had strong opinions, especially around the time frame issue. So we saw comments strongly in support of both extending the festival 5 years and ending the festival after this year. Now, there was a couple of places where there was surprising consensus of opinion as well. And we always want to bring you all consensus of opinion when we see it. So, and it was around festival management and timeframes. So there were a couple of times when the same idea appeared as both a hope and a concern. For the festival management, it was around ensuring that the city retain management and ownership of the festival. And this is a theme you're going to see in the survey as well. So you'll see this come up again. Around timeframes, it was about if we move the festival forward, it should be contingent on successful cost recovery and sound mitigation efforts. And folks on both sides agreed that if it moves forward, that's an important piece that you integrate. And again, we'll see that theme come up again in the survey. Okay, next, rolling along to the community survey. So a couple of notes here. First, the survey was open for about 3 weeks, April 8th to 28th. As folks have mentioned earlier, this was a convenience sample. It was designed to just provide a pulse on the community, but not a formal representative sample. That's the way it was designed. When we did the analysis, we actually looked at 4 groups. One, as we heard a little earlier from Mia, thank you for giving us a heads up about that, we did present for you all respondents. And as we said, there were 500 responded to the survey. Exactly 500, surprisingly, which is kind of interesting. Second group is, again, trying to focus in for the council's interest specifically. You all told us that you were particularly interested in Umatilla residents. So we did a specific analysis just for Umatilla residents. It was 272. We also did a specific analysis for the McNary neighbors living within 600 feet of the stages. And 38 people who responded to the survey reported they lived within 600 feet. We also did an analysis for folks who live outside Umatilla, reported that they lived outside Umatilla, but within 15 miles. So we're calling those your closest community regional neighbors, and there were about 107 people there. So those last three groups, Umatilla, McNary, and your closest community neighbors, they represent about 75% of the survey respondents. As you heard a little earlier, the other 25% represent folks who have ties to the festival, somehow heard about the festival, about the survey, but they're not part of your primary focus. And so we didn't do a separate analysis. They're just included in the all group. Okay.
So can I get a real quick clarification here? So regional members, is that within 15 miles?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, within 15 miles. Yep. And again, Amelia's reminding me, it's important to realize this is how people self-identified in the survey, right? It's the only way we could do it. Okay. Quickly, on the survey, we did a couple of things. We had 2 multiple choice opportunities for each of your 5 areas, and then 2 open responses. So you're going to see that we asked about the overall importance, and then we asked about why it's important, and then gave people a chance to kind of give an open response. So we'll tell you a little bit about all those. Next slide. Okay, I'm going to pause here a little bit because there's a couple of things I want to orient you to on this slide. So this one is about demographics, which is about age on the left and about festival attendance on the right. The way these graphs are set up, you're going to see the same format throughout the entire report. And again, these are your 4 groups. So your light blue on the top are your Umatilla residents. The green, the second bar, are your McNary neighbors. The orange are your closest regional neighbors within 15 miles. And then that dark blue on the bottom is your all category, the 500. So you're going to see them in the same order throughout. The other thing we've done is to put the page on the report in the bottom corner. So for those of you who have the full report and you want to follow along, if you ever want to see the full text, take a look at what's in that bottom corner to get your page number reference. Okay. Next slide. So we're going to start by looking at local economic benefits. So all of our groups overwhelmingly rated local economic benefits as important. We had overall 91% said it was either very or somewhat important. The type that was the most important for all our groups was sales for local businesses. Now, from the comments that people put in place, they were pretty evenly split between those who thought the festival brought significant benefit and those who didn't. Again, that polarity of response that we've talked about. Now, we also had some significant number of comments from people who said they didn't know Umatilla before, but they had a great experience. They plan to visit again for town amenities, golf course, outdoor activities, and beautiful setting. So those came through pretty strongly in the comments. Next slide. Okay, this next one is regional benefits. And about 74% said that regional benefits were very or somewhat important. And if you remember, it was 91% for local benefits and 74% for regional. So local was clearly a higher priority for folks. There was much more variety in terms of which economic regional benefits were most important. From the comments, some felt that it wasn't appropriate to consider regional benefits because it's a local investment. And then there were those who supported the regional economic benefits. They cited that the event benefits both Umatilla and the region. So that's a highlight. Those are some highlights from the comments. With that, I'm turning it over to Amelia. She'll keep walking us through the survey.
You know, I've gotten used to it. We've bonded at this point. All right. So Next, we're going to shift into our fiscal considerations. So as Sia mentioned before, we looked at a couple areas: city support, cost recovery, and return on investment. So starting with city support or cost recovery, for all groups, you'll see strong agreement that it's not only important, it's important to specifically get to 100% of cost recovery or better. In considering the festival's future. And for those of you who don't have X-ray vision, I'll just quickly say the options here are 100% or better, $250,000 or less is okay, $500,000 or less is okay, 750, 1 million. You can see support kind of trailing. And then that bottom category says that the festival should continue regardless of city support because of the community benefit. So as I mentioned, most consensus around cost recovery of 100% or better. The next most common responses was split between a perception that a slightly less fiscally conservative option at a $250,000 of support or less would still be acceptable. Or interestingly, that the festival, the benefits that the festival creates, that those shouldn't be overlooked just because they aren't financial. In the comments, what came through is that those who were concerned about costs really focused on that total bottom line loss, questioning if that was an appropriate role for the city to play in running a festival like this, or generally an appropriate use of tax dollars. The rest expressed in a perception that, you know, this is a loss, but cities invest in things. This is what they do. So again, we're seeing that consensus in the importance of cost and polarity, right, in how it's interpreted. Next slide, please. We'll see a similar story here when we talk about return on investment. So though a bit more noise in the data, you still see that a return of at least breaking even at that 1-to-1 level is important for all groups. Again, just quickly defining those, we have 1-to-1, 1-to-2, 1-to-3, 1-to-5 for every dollar of return for every dollar that Umatilla invests. And then the last category, similar to the last graph, was that a specific level of return is not as important as other factors. So again, as mentioned, that 1-to-1 comes in at the top. But interestingly, there's still strong support for those who feel that there are benefits beyond of the festival beyond a specific financial return that should be considered. And that spans all the groups as well. Want to highlight one additional thing. Next slide, please. Again, as we saw in economic benefit, it does matter whether we're talking about Umatilla or the region. So it's a little hard to see with the Zoom. Is there any way to move the Zoom thing up just a little bit? If not, what you can see is that the bottom of the graph looks very empty, and it's because all the responses are at the top. So the first graph is for how important is it to consider return on investment for Umatilla specifically. And you'll see not very important or not all important, pretty empty. Almost all of our responses are somewhat or very important for Umatilla only. When we get to looking at return on investment for the region, you can see it's a lot more split. Some folks are much more neutral on what level is achieved for the region. Next slide, please. And I have to say, it is just amazing to go through all these graphs, knowing how much data is behind them. So we really do encourage you to go back and look at the report for this highlight reel. So next, community impact. So this relates to both concerns, and then I'll talk about benefits next. Unsurprising, overall mitigating key concerns for the community, things that you all have been tracking since this festival started related to public safety, traffic, trash, noise, and others are very important across the board. As you can see, rising to the top of that is public safety. The rest of the other categories, they come in pretty similar. There's some variation between the groups, but you can see that over 40% of all respondents in all groups feel that all of these are important. For those that selected other, you can see we have a number of responses in that category. Those folks expressed some previously expressed or emphasized some previously expressed concerns that had been shared just related to the total cost of the festival. Others raised impacts on the golf course, both positive and negative, either seeing investment or still concerned about negative impacts. And some noted that they had no concerns about the festival. Next slide. Moving on to community benefits. Yes, great. Moving on to community benefits. Here again, you'll see each of these resonate on some level with the group. Just briefly reading through them. So first we have community pride and identity. Next is strengthen city reputation and regional recognition. Then we have social cohesion and increased social capital. Next is enhanced civic engagement, then cultural enrichment and awareness, community well-being and spirit, and then legacy of inspiration and motivation. As you'll see, by a little hair for most of the groups, community pride and identity and strengthen city reputation rise to the top, closely followed by community well-being and spirit. For folks who provided us some more qualitative input, they're generally split. Again, we're seeing that polarity between emphasizing, yes, all of these, and maybe a few others, or saying actually none of these. I don't believe that any of these really resonate. One additional theme that came through actually for both of these groups is just recognizing the opportunity cost. Even if these are great benefits, being sure that the council's thinking about how this aligns with the other community priorities and trade-offs in that investment. Next slide. So then, of course, within the community and neighbor concerns, one of the most important areas is sound mitigation. So, of course, I'm going to spend a little extra time on that. Unsurprisingly, all groups felt it was very important, or at least somewhat important, to center these concerns in conversations about the festival. I do want to point out that, as we mentioned, there were different findings that surprised us as we went through, both in reviewing the multiple choice as well as qualitative results. One of those is particularly in the neutral group, where we see that there was a notable portion of the neighbors within 600 feet of the stage who were more neutral about the sound issue, either suggesting that they're not as concerned with the previous sound, or for whatever reason are just not rating that quite as highly. Next slide, please. Just since this was a notable thing to us, I wanted to share two comments that kind of express the relative poles of this, because of course there were folks that did feel it was very important. So first of all, the most common theme that came through was that a majority, and I need to caveat here that these survey responses are from our entire survey group, not one of those specific populations that we identified before. But a majority of those overall comments felt that the disruptions were part of living in public life and part of that trade-off of the events and investments that the city makes and what people have to endure otherwise. And the next most common perception was the exact opposite, that this is too much to ask, even for the benefit, that it's not okay to force folks to have these kinds of impacts. So. Next.
Okay. And I am up next. We are in the home stretch, believe it or not. We really are. I know this is a lot of data. So next up is festival management. So overall, just about half of the respondents felt it was important for council to consider whether another organization should manage the festival. So just over half. The interesting thing, though, is that when we asked who should manage it, the highest rating was for the city to continue, followed by a city nonprofit partnership. So that was just kind of an interesting juxtaposition there. Now, the lowest support came for a for-profit, consistently across all our groups. Involvement of a for-profit in the management consistently received low ratings. Now, from the comments, a majority of the comments favored continued city control. We heard some version of "if it ain't broke, don't fix it" in the comments. fairly frequently. The next most common, and some kudos to the city for good performance. The next most common response was that it's not the city's role to run events like this, regardless of performance. There was also some themes related to concern over a for-profit managing the festival. And they were specifically interested in making sure that there was sufficient city involvement in any kind of arrangement to protect community interests and the event neighbors. So just know that came through around festival management. Next slide. Time frames. So this is where we really see the clear polarity. And when we look just at Umatilla and McNary neighbors, about 55% say to extend it at least one more year or longer, and 40% say to end it now. Now, for the other two groups, the all respondents and nearby community neighbors, not surprisingly, they were more likely to say extend it and a little less likely to say end it now. The town hall suggests that if the festival is extended beyond this year, those on both sides feel it will be important to check in annually. And I mentioned this already, and I'm emphasizing it again, that it came through related to this time frames, how important it is to do that annual check-in, specifically about cost recovery, local economic benefit, and sound mitigation. Okay, we are at our summary now. Believe it or not, we made it through all the data. So here's the take homes for you. Again, coming back to the 5 factors. First, most important factors were cost recovery, economic benefits, especially local, and sound mitigation. For economic impact, local was clearly more important than regional. For fiscal impact, there was the importance of full cost recovery. There was importance around transparency of the festival's revenue and cost information, and the importance of return on investment of at least $1 in for every $1 out. For community impact, they really emphasize the importance of community concerns, especially public safety and sound mitigation. There was concern about balancing the importance of sound mitigation effectiveness versus the costs. Festival and management. The city or city nonprofit partnership clearly came out on that one. And then next slide, and I put timeframes on the separate slide because this ultimately is kind of the major decision that you all as council are going to be facing in a month. I'm just highlighting again from the survey that we did see a polarity here from the survey, about 55% of Umatilla and McNary neighbors saying extend it a year or more, and about 40% saying end it now. And from the town hall, here's the consensus. If you elect to extend it, it's really important to have those annual check-ins, specifically on cost recovery, local economic benefit, and sound mitigation. So those are the take-homes on your 5 areas. Little bit of take-home from us at Jensen Strategies. Next slide. We hit again the annual review and the importance of that. We also want to emphasize the importance of continued community and neighbor engagement. So you took a really essential step as a city when you invested in a staff person specifically to do neighbor and community engagement. That's going to be important to continue that. It's also going to be important to do ongoing work to gather input and to build consensus around community goals related to growth and town feel. We heard a lot about that, about growth and town feel. And it's not surprising given what you all are facing right now. And so part of what we saw through Rock the Locks, I think, was reflective of that larger issue. And finally, representative survey. It is a very significant decision you all are facing around the future of Rock the Locks. You asked us to do community engagement, and we did the pulse, and we just have to emphasize again that we most likely heard from those with strong opinions on both sides. It's not unusual for a convenience sample like this to have folks who have strong opinions on both sides more likely to answer. You could consider investing in a random sample survey to get the full spectrum of community opinion. Okay, and I think with that, we end and turn it over to Matt. And I know we went way long. So you're going to have fun, Matt, trying to make up a little time.
Thank you very much for your presentation.
You take that one. Yeah.
The short mic's not gonna work for me.
Give us just a moment to pull up your slide deck.
Sure. While we pull that up, yeah, so good evening, Mayor and City Council member with Echo Northwest. I'm actually standing in for Chris Blakeney, who is the director for this project. He couldn't be here this evening. So for all the tough questions, we can just email Chris, blame it on him. So.
Dave, we're gonna take a little pause here until Bruce comes back. Just take your time. You got plenty of time, Nancy. No stress.
We got it. Yeah, no problem. We'll take a quick pause till he's able to return.
Thank you. Bleach that thing. Yeah. Dave, is there paper copies of this as well, or is the copier jammed?
You can. Yeah. Yeah, we have Jensen Strategies was there.
Is the economic impact one on the backside?
Mm-mm.
It's just so it's just cottonwood season. Oh, it's my problem. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see the.
Yeah, because the printer broke down for us right before we even have the Eco Northwest report, but we can didn't have it printed, but we can also put that on the screen here as in addition to this if we need to go a specific page.
Thank you.
Apologize that our printer decided to walk out on us.
Printers don't like our reports. They're just too thick with graphics and data. Yeah, so I get it. Yeah. Mayor,
Matt, we're ready.
may I get going? Yeah, thank you. So again, yeah, my name's Matt. I work for Echo Northwest. We're an economics consulting firm with offices across the West. So we took a look at the economic impacts of visitors, and I'll get into the details about what visitors mean for the 2024 Rock the Locks Festival. So next slide, please. So again, the purpose of this study is to look at the economic benefits of folks coming in and bringing dollars to Umatilla for the festival. So again, this is really important. We want to make sure that we're not kind of double counting dollars that are already circulating within the economy. If Dave goes and buys a bunch of heavy metal t-shirts for the city council, that's not in our analysis. This is looking at folks that are coming from outside the region, bringing more dollars into your community. So next slide, please. So there's three basic steps to this type of analysis and some real fun data analysis for us. The first step is to count the visitors. And I'll get into this here in a second, but we're able to use some fun cell phone data to take a look at where people originated and came to the festival. So the first thing we did is you want to take a look at who are all those folks, where are they coming from that came to the festival? The second part is to estimate how much they spent. And there are some benchmark data out there that we can use to allocate dollars from visitors coming into the community. So there's another group here in Oregon that does this kind of tabulation every year and figures out how much visitors spend in specific to each county in Oregon, tourist dollars that come in, and we can allocate those by different categories. So we count the visitors, we do some allocation of their spending, and then the third part is kind of modeling that ripple effect, modeling the effect of people coming to a concert, spending money on food, spending money on accommodation, and what that means for those businesses and the labor income that comes from that. So what that means for the person that's at the grocery store that has, more money because it's come in from other places, how that kind of ripples through your local economy. And we do that through this economic model called IMPLAN, which is kind of an industry standard economic model. Next slide, please. There's a lot going on in this slide, so let's just take a minute here. And in the report, the map on the right, I know that's real hard to see. It just looks like someone's going to splatter there at the Pacific Northwest. I'll explain that, but it is in the report, so please jump in. So this is the first step in the analysis I was talking about. This is about counting the visitors. So we use this service called Placer AI, and Placer AI has samples of cell phone data. So yes, your cell phones are tracking you. And what Placer AI data does is it figures out where people came from to come to the festival. So we were able to use this service to do what's called geofencing around the festival grounds. And then also did a kind of like a timeline fence of like, okay, over the course of the Rock the Locks Festival, let's take a look at all the people that came from elsewhere and came to this specific part of Umatilla. And the data showed that there were about 9,600 visitors, so almost 10,000 people came to those festival grounds over the 3 days. Folks came from over 28 states, some international folks. That map is showing, again, there's a better view of it in the report. Lots of folks from your region. So if you look at, that's a heat map, it's showing originations of folks that are coming to the festival. You will notice that the Tri-Cities are popping up there, Walla Walla, Pendleton, Baker City, your friends in Hermiston, a lot of folks kind of within that day trip range coming in. And that table that I kind of squeezed there in the bottom left of this slide here, that's showing the different groups of people that have come to the festival. And this is really important because, again, like I said at the beginning, we're not looking at local spending. So we're not looking at the folks that are local. So we have 3 different geographic bands. So local, we're calling folks that are within Umatilla or within 10 miles of Umatilla in Oregon. So if you're across the Columbia River, we're putting you in the next category, which are day trippers. So you'll see in that table there that day trippers made up 47% of the folks coming to the festival. And the day tripper band is from 10 miles out to 100 miles. So we assume, you live in the Tri-Cities, you want to come down to Rock the Locks, you probably want to sleep in your own bed that night and, drive 30 minutes back up to Pasco or something. So day trippers, 47% of the folks that came out are the day trippers band. And then everyone else beyond that 100-mile mark are overnight trips or international folks. So if you're coming from over 100 miles, we assume, hey, you're coming out for the full weekend, you're staying at the RV park or you're staying in a hotel. So that's very important because, again, we're not looking at the local spending, not looking at that local category. We're really focusing on the day trippers and the overnight folks. Next slide, please. So this is that kind of allocation step that I talked about. So this is step 2. So what you're seeing there are visitor spend categories. So again, these are benchmarks about how much overnight visitors spend in Umatilla County in 2024. So the average visitor spends $136 per night in Umatilla County across 2024, and we use that to allocate to the folks that are coming in. We definitely did some adjustments for folks that are in the day tripper category. We zeroed out the accommodation line and did some other adjustments to make sure that it's modeled kind of at a better reflection of how those dollars are being spent. So the total estimated spend from the folks coming in is about $1.8 million, but we'll have to further adjust that. So that's kind of the first number to take a look at. Slide, please. So here's the economic impacts that comes out of the model here. And let me try to break this down a little bit. So we have a lower bound and we have an upper bound. Let's just look at the lower bound right now. So we're looking at direct and secondary economic impacts. I'll explain that. Jobs supported, labor income, value added, and total output. So starting with impact type. So direct and secondary impacts. So direct impacts are someone from the Tri-Cities comes down, they spend, it's their dollars. They went like I did and got a burrito at the taco place this afternoon, which was wonderful. And it's the $13 that you spent on dinner there. That's a direct impact. The secondary impacts include things like supply chain effects of the taco shop needs to buy plates and they need to buy inputs for the food. And then what's called induced effects, which is part of the secondary effects, is labor income. So the person working at the restaurant has that income because visitors are coming, and then they can go and spend that at a grocery store, spend that on daycare or whatnot. So the numbers that you're seeing is including all of that. It's the direct and secondary impacts. Jobs, so 18 jobs supported. That doesn't necessarily mean 18 jobs created. That doesn't mean 18 new jobs. It means that because of this spending, there were 18 jobs that were supported with these dollars. Labor income is looking at your income, your salary, but also including the benefits associated with that. Value added, that's a number I really like to look at because it's the one I think it's easiest for me to wrap my head around. That's basically it's labor income, but it's also business profits and rents and other things associated with the dollars that are being spent there. It's kind of a good overall number. If you're familiar with GDP, that's basically like the increase in GDP, so the increase in size of your local economy. And then output is just the aggregate. It's kind of all of that together. You'll note that that's a little bit less than the 1.8 that I showed you in the next slide. There's modeling that I could explain if you're interested about why that's a little bit less, but that's kind of the aggregate trying to think about all of the spend that's coming into the category. So that's showing your lower bound there. That's kind of the more conservative estimate. The upper bound, you can see jobs supported has come up to 22. Labor income, all these numbers have gone up a little bit more. The difference between those two, the lower bound and the upper bound, is length of stay. So in the lower bound, we were assuming that people came for 3 days for the festival for 3 days. In the upper bound, we used data about visitors to Umatilla County, which shows that the average visitor that comes to your county stays for 5.6 days. And so we said, well, what if these folks came for the festival and then they spent a couple more days here? So the upper bound, which would be kind of at the higher range, obviously, is assuming a 5-day stay at Umatilla. So you can see that difference there. And next slide, please. Thank you. One of the things that we also looked at here, and I think an important consideration for your council, for your community, is spending within the community is really capped by the lodging constraints that you have within the community. So there's about 150 hotel rooms within the community of Umatilla. There's a number of RV spots, totaling all that together. It's about 262 spaces or rooms for people to stay. And as we looked into the Placer AI data, we definitely saw that a number of folks were coming to the festival and staying in Hermiston or maybe staying outside of the community. And so this is just something that I think is important to think about because your total spend in the community could potentially be higher, especially thinking of overnight visitors. And if we go back to that, we don't need to, but if we go back to that table that shows, again, that allocation of how much people spend, a big portion of that is on accommodation and food service. Right. And so if you had another hotel, you're going to capture those accommodation dollars. You're probably going to capture more food service dollars again, because people want to get their dinner and then go back to their hotel, something that's really convenient there. So this is a constraint on how much money the community can collect here with Rock the Locks. Yes, sir. About 500. I will have to ask. I'm going to punt my friend Chris that's not here. Yeah, yeah. I think
Yeah, I could answer that a little bit later on.
Okay, thank you.
If you'd like, but the short version is it's included, just not in this section, because it's not a permanent lodging facility, but it is included in the total economic impact as a temporary benefit. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thanks for the bailout. That was awesome. Okay. I just playing economists on TV. Yeah. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay. So major takeaways here. Again, the economic modeling really shows that we're looking at about 1.7 to about $2 million in total economic output. Again, that number that I really like, that value added piece, local GDP is around $1 million, and then job supported is about 18 to 22. So I think the elevator speech that that I would say is, it's probably about $1 million. The Umatilla economy grew by about $1 million because of Rock the Locks in 2024, and about 20 jobs were supported. So the last point that I'll make here about jobs, 20 jobs might not sound like a lot, but it's a lot to create a job. If you think about how many snow cones you have to sell at a festival to hire another person to sell more snow cones, it's a big decision, right? So 20 is not insubstantial. I think that's a pretty good number, actually, pretty impressive number. And that's what I've got for you this evening, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that y'all have. With some adjustment. With some adjustment. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. These are all estimates, right? And so this is kind of a industry benchmark estimate of how you look at economic modeling for this sort of thing. So yeah, it's very standard, the methodology that we used here. Yeah. 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 Those are like point in time jobs. Yeah. And jobs is not equivalent to FTE. So that's not saying that that's one job that a person had for a full year. It is point in time supported during that time. Yeah, that could count. Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. If I could, so we have 2 consultant reports. So any direct questions or any information that you might have to any of the consultants, they've traveled, they're here. We're happy to answer any of the questions you might have, and generally appreciate some of the sort of comments from the community. I would suggest if you wanted to do that, if we can set up I mean,
yeah.
Honestly, we worked with pretty much everybody in this room throughout this whole process, so that's not necessarily out of the norm here. If we wanted to kind of open it up that way, Mayor, I mean, I don't think staff has a problem with it, but we may or may not be prepared to answer all of those questions.
I was going to say, I feel like, did anyone in the room kind of get the highs and lows? Is there any major questions coming from people in the room? Mr. Nobles?
It's kind of going to interrupt you real quick. If we're going to do it that way, we'll just get you a microphone. Not a
Yeah,
problem.
we need a microphone, so we have.
We'll give you.
Yeah, we'll steal this one.
Yeah.
Matt, could you turn yours off? They don't work together.
You're right. Yeah. So one wireless mic on at a time. Thank you. Very good.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Everybody good? So there was a lot of money spent with you. You had people come out and measure dB at the fence, the houses, all 3 shifts, 24 hours a day. I don't see any reports about what the dB was at the fences. Was that in a different meeting, or, I mean, that really tells us how well, what the scientific, not just how we felt, but what, is there any, and we're going to find that data anywhere?
Yeah. So so just in case the recording online didn't pick it up, the question or the comment was the actual data. What was the actual data recordings from the sound engineer during the event? So we presented that at our post Rock the Locks event meeting, and we had information there. The purpose of these community input and surveys was actually not so much to grab that specific whatever the number was there. This was more on the perception or the individual experience that they may have had. And so the value of that type of analysis with this survey outreach is that we'll just say 75 dB as a number. So 75 dB to neighbor 1 could feel different than to neighbor 2, than to neighbor 3. That's important information for us to have so that we can work specifically within financial resources and other resources to come up with perhaps customized or reasonable solutions for, let's say, neighbor 3 really doesn't like it. And that's just not okay, but neighbors 1 and 2. So we can focus our time and energy and resources on working on solutions that might be able to help with neighbor 3. The objective data, the hard numbers, give us a really good sort of benchmarks, and what we saw in that report gave us information on where did those thresholds sort of uniformly start to happen? So at sometimes during the event, we could trigger and say, pick your time. I don't have the report exactly in front of me, but at 10 o'clock, it was just absurd. Well, then we can go back and look at the hard data and say, well, at 10 o'clock, we reached 85 or something. Say, okay, so there's a major threshold we have to avoid. And so that gives us, so the two of them together really give us sort of that 360 view. And an opportunity to kind of work with people specifically that are there nearby. But tonight, data didn't have that hard. This wasn't that type of exercise. We did that exercise at the end of the last event.
Yeah. And I will say, Kelly, on your point as well, we talked briefly about it. I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he mentioned that if we give them a hard, decibel level, stage 2 point, wherever we decide. I mean, he's talked about, he did a concert in someone's backyard that he said, you can't get past 65 decibels, past 1030 at this time. He goes, perfect, no problem. And he was at 64 for the entire evening. Like, it sounds like he can do it. So I think that needs to be further conversations. And I talked to Dave about that at the event, going, hey, this is possible. We just need to get a hard, figure out what our hard limit is and then go from there. I know it's something, Kelly, that we're definitely working on, and Mia as well. We're working on this. We're trying to make it better. There's things happening on the background that we're working hard to improve this.
And I'll mention, Kelly, you made a comment during public comment on, talking to PSI and those guys directly, and you mentioned Fantasy Productions. So that has been sent to Fantasy Productions because they're working with them specifically on those contracts. There will come a time here, actually in the very near future, where those specific meetings are going to take place together with ABD Engineering, which is the actual measuring sound engineer there. But they have our post notes and events and information from all of that. They have their, I would say, their informal information at this point, but we will be finalizing all that information now that we have decibel ceilings and maximums established in each of the contracts and each of these events. So now we can put all that information in front. The biggest thing that was part of those contracts was two things: was setting those maximums, which our maximums are actually very slightly below what ABD Engineering, that hard data, recommended. So we're slightly below those as our ceilings. So our starting point is low. And the other issue was making sure that those contracts had gave power to PSI to shut it down if it was getting too high. So we didn't have any of that information available, or we didn't have any of that in our contracts last year. And so we were able to make the suggestion. There was no teeth, and about half the bands complied. None of the headliners did. And so this year, that's in literally every band's contract. And so, and PSI ultimately has the master toggle, if you want to call it that, on controlling that sound.
Okay, we'll take 3 more general questions at 2 minutes or less.
Oh,
okay, we're going to Mr. Morris first. Yep.
After the 23 Rock the Locks, the promoter had promised that the second year would turn a profit. And the city council had said, if it's not turning a profit by 2025, Rock the Locks would discontinue. And I was wondering, has the city council forgot about that conversation?
I don't know to what you're speaking of. We've never said that we would discontinue at that point. We always said we would obviously look at the data, see where we're at.
If you want to send us an email with like the minutes that say it occurred at this time, or you have an estimate of when that can happen, if you want to send that over to us, then we can.
I don't know the time. I was just at that meeting when that was the expression of city council.
Okay.
Okay, going back to what Dave said about the post-event report from 2024, and with respect to what was presented tonight, my question is, how do these results compare to the results that you got estimated in that report? Do you feel comfortable with that? And is it something you can compare number for number, or is it like comparing apples to oranges?
Kind of to my comment earlier was, it's not necessarily a comparison as it is sort of looking at the data through different lenses. And so one was specifically to look at that hard data, and this is to look at this subjective data. They're both valuable, but I don't actually believe one's more valuable than the other. It's the two of them together and the story that they tell together that makes it wholly valuable.
Yeah, but in that report, your conclusions of that report really hinged on saying that you would have this amount of regional and local economic benefit, and with that, you could justify continuing forward. My question is, if you substituted the numbers that you had come up with these numbers, is it similar or is it different?
So if I understand your question correctly, Mia, is the number of the estimated economic impact from the post-event report, is it similar or different than what was presented this evening? Is that correct? So these numbers are lower than what we presented in the post-event report. The post-event report, we provided both a single number, I think we had 5.7 million, and then we gave a range on that was 3 to 5.7 or 3 to 6 million. So these numbers are tonight were between 1.8 million and 2.2 million. One of the things that's different from the analysis that Eco Northwest did versus what we put in our post-event report, our post-event report included everybody. Eco Northwest specifically said this is the economic impact for just the city of Umatilla. And so they're not exactly an apples to apples comparison that way, because we looked at essentially the overall regional benefit which would have included the hotels and things like that associated with the city of Hermiston and stuff like that. And so we got the direction from council at the very beginning from the March meeting. That's nice about what's happening in the region, but we only care about what's happening with the city of Umatilla. And so from now moving forward, we will either just report on Umatilla only, or we might present them as two separate numbers so you can kind of look at both the Umatilla only or the regional as well.
Yeah, that sounds great. So to help the city council members in the thinking that they have to do in the next month, are you going to revise some of that information that was in that report so they can see what it's going to look like? What amount of increase in attendance, in revenue, and et cetera is going to be needed with these new numbers that you have coming out of this group? Are you going to revise that information so they have a better picture of what amount of increase are you going to need to reach the objectives you're trying to reach for next year based on this new, more different type of information?
Yeah, so I could put the council a little bit on that. So if the council has a desire to do an amendment to that report, we're certainly happy to provide that. I'm not sure what the timeline on that would be. But on your question in relation to the work that we've done with the survey and I guess cost recovery that's associated with Jensen Strategies there. That information doesn't really change very much because the cost recovery was the dollars that the city spent and the dollars that the city gained back from the event. Yeah. From Eco Northwest on the economic impact. Yeah, so I'm not sure. That's what I look forward to kind of hearing from the council and the discussions, what they're looking forward to on that. I would say that from the Jensen Strategies report, it seemed like there were the one category, I forget what the percentages were off the top of my head, it was roughly 20-30% were like, well, we don't necessarily care about what those numbers are because of the other benefits matter. The other one was the majority of folks were, for every dollar we spend, we need to get a dollar back. And when you look, and then the others were saying, if for every dollar we spend, we'd like $2 or $3, but most said 1-to-1 is sufficient. Some wanted more.
Dave, how close are we right now to hitting 1-to-1? For every dollar spent, we gain $1 back.
We're better. And so it depends on what number you want to go off of. If you want to go off of the net cost, our net cost last year was about $900,000, and the economic impact was $1.8 million. And so that's almost 2-to-1. And so if you wanted to go off of the actual expense and not have the revenue in there, we spent about 1.3 million and got 1.8 million back.
So did we get 1.8 million back, or did we get 950,000 back? I thought that was a different slide. Like
1.8, 1.3.
So that was the upper bound and the lower bound. So I'm curious what the actual number you gave though. What was the actual number?
About
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I can answer that. Yeah, so about 1.8 million is the total economic output. Yeah, so that's everything kind of moving around there. Yeah, so that's the lower bound number. Okay, it's about 1.8.
Gotcha.
So for us, if you wanted to use the net for basically every dollar we're spending, we're getting either $2 to $2.50 back. If you wanted to use the gross expense for every dollar we're spending, we're getting about 1.6 to $1.85 back.
Okay.
I'm doing math in my head. Those numbers are
Yeah.
close, but not exact.
And we got to keep this next question to 2 minutes. I apologize. Sorry, Mia. We got to move on.
This is actually a question maybe for the Chamber of Commerce and the city as well, but have you guys had any meetings with business owners to come up with a plan to try to maximize the amount of dollars you're getting from the people coming? Meaning that like offering meal deals for breakfast or dinner deals or something like that to get those people that are coming into the community to have breakfast at a local restaurant or to have dinner, or perhaps keep your hours open later because the festival closes at 11. There's a lot of people looking for pizza and burgers and things like that that are staying in the hotels and stuff, and try to maximize the amount of money coming from the people.
So we're lucky to have Josiah here. I'll take the first stab at it. Please elaborate, Josiah, if you'd like. So the Chamber's done I think a pretty good job of reaching out. We even put together a specific Rock the Locks pamphlet this last year. Some of those things included specific deals, show your wristband, you get discounts. We have coupons on the bottom of those. All of the things were good. I thought were really, really great. As the festival kind of matures and progresses, my understanding is that we are already doing that now with those businesses. We'll continue to amend and modify that to see what did or did not work. But I know we've done all of that work, Josiah. I'm not sure if there's anything else so far that you might want to add.
Yeah, I would say that last year it was in trying to find more ways to get everybody from the festival to come and support local businesses. We did do those things. It was a smaller effort, and we're currently in the process of talking with businesses and seeing ways that we can better brainstorm to have all those potential people so that they are coming and supporting our local businesses. So it is in the process, and we're trying to find ways that can better, and we'll be discussing with more businesses here and seeing what we can do to help to take advantage of that.
Okay, perfect. All right, thank you very much for everyone who wanted to participating, and we do appreciate that. That is our maximum allotted time that I declared. Okay, any further questions from council this time? I definitely think it's some good data and something that some light weekend reading. Sounds great.
Holy, my
Especially
brain
for
is
Jensen
full.
Strategies. This is pretty good data. So got lots to mull over.
I mean, I appreciate it, but holy heck.
Okay, we're just doing our jobs. That's what
I know.
we got to do.
You guys are like data people. I'm not.
No, I minored in economics, so this is right up my alley.
This is fun. You're loving this.
Yeah, this is
Me?
great. Yeah.
Not so much.
Give me econ data all day. Okay, Bruce, you have anything else?
Enjoying laughing that I'm not the only person who's had enough of, packets that, require 5 trees.
Exactly.
And
What the couple
and
more?
I have to think.
We're stimulating the lumber market. There we go.
It's a renewable resource. It's all
Yeah.
good.
Ms. Funderburk, do you have anything you'd like to add?
We're supporting Albany.
Great.
Okay, awesome. All right, then we're going to go ahead and thank you for presenting this evening, and thank you for the public for
Thank you
participating
so
as well.
much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, moving on now to the mayor's message. This is kind of a weird one for me. I want to say congratulations to my sister for getting her doctorate on Saturday or on Friday. She just got her PhD and she's getting married this Sunday. So congratulations to Cameron. I'm very proud of her and very excited that it's the month of Cameron has been our joke. So we're really looking forward to that and we're very excited. Other than that, thank you so much for Jensen Strategies and everyone who presented this evening. We do appreciate all your guys' hard work and effort, and Eco Northwest as well. Thank you for presenting and covering for the person who actually wrote the report. So we appreciate that, Matt. Thanks. Thank you to city staff and everyone's hard work and continued working towards landing days. Really appreciate that, and continue working hard and keep up the good work. All right, that's all I have. Councilman.
Thank you everyone for coming, and and showing your support and just being here. We really appreciate it. And thank you, city, for all that you do. The signs up for landing days, the flowers look beautiful. Thank you for your presentation. Thank you very much. Sorry, this was a long meeting. We thank you for staying and
We're getting good now.
we got it all done. But anyways, we just thank you for everything. I'm looking forward to landing days, another great day, looking forward to the parade. And yeah, that's all I really have.
Okay. Councilmember DeFloff.
I want to first of all thank the city staff, the council, and the mayor. This has been, this year has been really, really huge as far as the city and growth. And what I mean by that is we have spent, you guys, I don't know if you know this or not, but typically a council meets once a month, maybe 2 times a month, maybe periodically. We've met so often that I know every shirt Dave has. Every Oregon Duck wearing shirt he may have. But I say that, I only say that because we've been working really hard. And I want you guys to know that we don't dismiss anyone. And it's really difficult for me to not allow, and this is going to sound crazy to say at 58 years old, not allow your ego to get involved, because that's what it's about. And we have to put all that aside. We can't have that. We don't have the luxury of having that. I have the opinion of 7,000 people, 8,000 people that live in my community. Not 1, not 10, all of them. So I have to consider every person. And if it hurts one person to help 10, 15, 20, how does that work? How do I gauge that, right? I have one person that's being, or 10 people that are being really, really impacted. And I have 5,000 that are being greatly impacted. So how do I make that decision? As a human being sitting right up here, I'm asking you, as a normal person, and I'm living in a community where I know all these people and I see them every day, and I hear about their plight. And I hear about their struggle. I get it. But how do I make that decision sitting right here? I don't have a doctorate degree. I'm a 58-year-old man that's worked 25 years in the prison system. And so, yeah. So with that in mind, what I ask is 2 things. We have a common sense approach, and we seek understanding. Seek understanding. And look at our neighbors as friends. We have to have compromise. We have to place value. Okay? Not for just 1 or that 10, but for the 8,000. Okay? That's what I would suggest. That's where we're at with the community in the world right now. I have to have compassion for everyone. And I do. Please offer me that respect too. So with that, I yield. Okay, so I'm sorry. Thank you.
Councilmember McLean.
Yeah, I don't know how I follow that. Thank everybody for being here. Thank you for your involvement. And really, Josiah kind of tucked my thunder early on. It's, summer, hot, drink lots of water. I apologize for having to leave, but that's what happens when you drink lots of water. Yeah, looking forward to seeing everybody at landing days. Have a great week.
Thanks, Bruce.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we need a motion to go into our executive session for this evening.
Mayor, could I interrupt real quick?
Oh, yeah.
So, executive session is performance evaluation about me. I'd like to go ahead and waive that right and just do that in open session if that's all right.
Oh, sounds good.
All right. And we don't have to go into executive session.
Perfect. Open session it is.
We'll just evaluate Dave in front of everybody.
Yeah. Dave, can I get that in writing? Can we send me an email? I just want to make sure, like, we gotta, and it's on the record. I don't dot my I's and check my T's.
Sending to you now.
Thanks, Dave. Yeah, and I would say the only thing after reviewing these, the only thing I changed on Dave's goals that he brought to me was I changed a date. Dave, where is it? There it is. So it's for enhancing community communication. I changed that from Dave had it in like the first weekend of November. I moved that to February of 2026. I gave him some extra wide berth. I'm like, okay, that seems, I want this to be an achievable goal, not murder myself trying to get this done goal. So other than that, there's the only thing I changed to Dave's goals. I think they're very forward thinking. I had no major questions.
Mayor.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Curses, Dave, you messed everything up.
I've heard that before.
Sorry, Nancy, didn't see you waving. Thanks, Bruce.
And then
Your inbox, Mayor.
Thank you, appreciate it.
if I can, since not all of you have seen this before, 3 out of the 4 of you have, since 3 of you are on the personnel committee, but for Darren's benefit.
Yeah, it's just me.
So
Way to
in
go.
evaluations back from each council member, what you're seeing in the individual sections are the composite average scores for each. And then rather than trying to fit all of the comments, accomplishments, and goals into a tiny box, we've added each of those as a separate attachment. Attachment A is the compilation of individual council member comments. B is a list of accomplishments and how they relate to the prior year goals. And then attachment C is the goals for the next year.
Okay. And then Nancy, do you want a copy of this so you can upload it to the record? I'll give you mine. I won't write on it. I promise.
I've got an extra.
Perfect. You got another one. Okay. Okay. Questions from the council?
No.
Yep. Look pretty good. Keep it up, Dave. You're killing it.
So did you, I just have a question. I don't know how you, I'm just curious, do you just, randomly choose goals? Like,
So yeah, the
these are really,
I know.
these have a lot of big words in them.
So Dave brought the goals to.
Like, what? That's like
Yeah.
work.
Yeah. Aren't you a language teacher? Creed?
I'm so impressed with this.
We have 50% educators on the dais at the moment. So so
To have that all.
my wife teases me because my bachelor's degree is in political science with a master's in public administration, but my little known unknown minor is English, but it brought my GPA down because I only got a B+ in my minor and everything else was much better. So made it cum laude instead of summa cum laude. Oh well, what you gonna do? So the very short version to the answer to that question is looked at really sort of 4 different things. So the International City and County Managers Association, or ICMA, which is my professional association, they have sort of a broad level of
So you have
of
seen
goals that might be out there that chief appointed executive officials should consider. So I looked at that. OCCMA, which is the same thing, but at the state level, also has their own set. So reference that as well. Then I referenced the city council's adopted goals and at least current and draft form. And then kind of considering all of those things, then went through and said, okay, what are some of the things that I want to make sure that I'm able to help lead the city under the direction of the council to achieve these sets of goals, and then broke it down in these different categories. So I have them sort of at that city level and then at that professional level.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Because there's a lot. I mean, is this like, are you supposed to have this?
Say this is pretty average. This is about what we had last year, I'd say. It's
Yeah,
pretty
so
close.
I'll
I'll
say
I feel like it's a little more, but I feel like it's pretty close to last year.
Good goal.
You sound like an overachiever.
I know. Cool. And I love what you put. I love how you're going to improve your work life
So
integration and improve delegation. I'm happy to see those things.
thank you.
Yes.
Once upon a time, I did a training that was called, that was specifically on goal setting, and the theme of that is a goal not written is just a wish. And so I wanted this to be a meaningful goal. We're going to write it, put it in writing, but it's meant to be a goal. So that means, I would rather aim for the stars and miss than aim for a lump of lard and hit it every time. And so,
To California, and we had to work on that.
Actually,
yeah. So I already have a goal in there that says create these boundaries and separate work-life balance, that sort of thing. And I already did not very good at that last week.
No, okay.
Okay.
So I'm happy to see
Wait.
those. That makes me
Calling
happy.
me out right now in front of,
Yeah.
well done.
Darren, do you have anything you want to add?
I don't.
Okay.
I'm really, it
Yeah.
looks really good.
Yeah, that's.
See, that's why I gave him some more achievable goals. I gave him a longer timeline because I was like,
Yeah.
there's no way, Dave. Let's start reaching for the stars here and let's aim for the
Right.
moon. It's okay. All right.
I like it.
All good.
All good. Okay.
Good.
Any questions from the council?
And,
Do
David?
we need to approve these?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So this time with council, we're looking for a motion to approve Dave's evaluation.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to wholeheartedly approve this evaluation.
Can I get a second motion, please?
I would second that.
Thank you. Can we get a roll call?
Counselor Funderburk.
Aye.
Counselor Duffloff.
Aye.
Counselor McLean.
Aye.
Thank you, Nancy. Okay, at this time, we're looking to adjourn this meeting.
Mr. Mayor, I would make a motion to adjourn tonight's city council meeting.
Thank you. Can I get a second the motion?
I'll second it.
Can we get a roll call?
Counselor Funderburk.
Aye.
Counselor Duffloff.
Aye.
Counselor McLean.
Aye.
Okay, we're adjourned. Everyone have a great night.
Thank you,
It's a
everyone.
new record, everybody. Good job.
I'm very happy that you.
What am I signing?
Work-life balance. You need it.
Yes.
And then if you want to do it.